Joining us now from West Palm Beach, Florida, is Monica Crowley, who's a conservative podcaster, the Monica Crowley podcast. I've known Monica since Elvis was a tyke. That's not fair. You're much younger than I am, and you look much better. Anyway, she comes to us with some priorities for her. This is about Monica, not about Trump. So give me 5 in order of importance that you want President Trump to accomplish quickly. What's number 1?
Yes. Well, first, Bill, great to be with you. We are here celebrating. We're all going to save America together. Here are my top 5 priorities for President Trump right off the bat. And he has spoken about a couple of these that he is actually going to begin on day 1. And if you want to drill down into each one, we can certainly do that. But number 1 for me is close the border. And there are a lot of elements that go into sealing the border, mass deportations, et cetera. But that for me is number 1. Number 2, which
Let me
also the
stop.
president's
Let me
talked about.
stop. Let me stop you.
Okay.
Okay. So border, and that would border economy would be obviously 1, 2 for any thinking person. When he says mass deportations, you know that each person here in residence here, not people caught coming across the border, they can be sent right back, are entitled to due process. They have to have a hearing. Isn't that going to cause the Trump administration a problem?
Well, I've actually talked to top people around President Trump about this because you well know, Bill, that the imperial media is going to do for every single case what they did with Elian Gonzalez, who was that Cuban child living in Miami with an American family. They pulled at the heartstrings. They made it a very emotional situation. And to your point, when they have to be processed legally, then the imperial media is going to cover every single story as a heart-wrenching kind of thing to try to turn America's opinions against it. But keep in mind, Bill, that you have about 70% of the American people who want mass deportation.
Okay,
so public support at the moment is on
I know
the
that, but come on. Now, don't be Kamala Harris. You know and I know that there is a due process inside the law. It's there.
Yep.
So you can't just drag somebody off their lawn, throw them in a van, and take them to Tijuana. You got to have it. So you're talking 10 million people at least. So when you say mass deportations, I'm going to go, what is that going to look like?
Well, let's start with square one, Bill, which is 1.3 million illegals here have been accused of a serious violent crime, like murder, like rape. Right. They're getting turned around immediately. So Rome wasn't built in a day. Let's start with the most violent criminals who have already been through the process, who can be turned out beginning day 1, day 10, or in the first 100 days.
Judge has to sign off on it, but an immigration judge has to sign off, but we assume they will. Are they sending him to Rome? You mentioned Rome. Are they going to? No. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Built in a day. So
you know me and the cliches. Okay, we're right. So
no, I know. But when you're mentioning, Bill, 10 million illegals, actually the number is a lot higher than that. So this is going to be a Herculean task.
But you know what I subtracted? I subtracted the undocumented migrants who have children born here because they're not going anywhere. Federal courts will stop that.
That is probably true that those people will be grandfathered in, starting immediately is going to work with Congress to change the anchor baby status. So it's going to be a disincentive for the future.
Right. And they should. So we're talking 10 million residents who are here illegally that Trump believes, and the people who voted for Trump, overwhelming, you've got to assume they believe that too, should be sent back to their home countries, and then they can go through the legal process. But it's not going to be an instantaneous thing, Monica. It's going to take years for that to happen.
It is definitely going to be a process, that's for sure. But I can tell you that on day 1, you know, what was so interesting, Bill, over the last 24 hours is that President Trump announced Tom Homan, who is a former ICE director, before he announced a single cabinet member. So that shows you where President Trump's priorities are. Tom Homan is a complete border badass. So while we're talking about mass deportations, that's also going to run on a parallel track with supercharging the Border Patrol,
There's no
getting
doubt
border
about it.
wall construction going again.
Holman is going to be in charge of stopping as many. But even though I like the guy and I think his philosophy is good, the way this is going to stop is Mexico is going to put its armed forces back on the northern and southern borders of its country. That will happen because Trump will say, look, if you don't do it, we're going to crush you economically. And so they'll do it. So we assume that the border will be sealed up pretty tight by April of 25. Okay, let's get on to your second priority. What would that be?
Second priority is related to the economy, and it's something that President Trump has talked about on day one, which he can do by executive order, and that is drill, baby, drill. So he is going to open up all of the areas that Biden and Harris have shut down, especially federal land, for drilling. He is going to get us back almost immediately to energy independence, which he got us to in the first term. And I'll tell you how it's going to have an immediate effect on the economy, Bill. Energy is built into every single thing you consume, whether it's this pen or my laptop that I'm talking to you through. It is built into everything, particularly groceries, and obviously the gas you put in your car and the energy you use to heat and cool your home. So the second he signs that executive order on day one, prices will immediately begin to come down. It is going to have a massive effect on
here's
inflation
what I'm worried about.
Starting from the start.
You're correct that once the fuel prices go down, all the transportation to the grocery stores, bringing the food in, all of that drops. All right. And people have more money in their pockets because gas prices will drop because there'll be more gas on the marketplace and on and on and on. But there are going to be businesses, a lot of them, that aren't going to drop the prices. They won't. And Kamala ran around going, I'm going to get the price gougers. No, you're not. You can't. So I think Donald Trump's going to have to make a campaign, public relations wise, saying, look, there are certain businesses that just going to keep the prices artificially high and hope they can get away with it. Don't go there. You see, it's going to have to be.
Yes.
And I don't know whether he's going to do that or not. I would.
Well, it is true that once prices increase, very difficult to bring them down because businesses see a wider profit margin. So they have less incentive to actually take prices back down. But this is the beauty of free market capitalism because prices will go down elsewhere. And if people identify businesses or industries that are gouging them, they're going to take their pocketbooks and go spend their disposable income somewhere else.
I would like to see you as Secretary of Gouging. Okay.
I do a great job at going after
all
the gougers.
That's what I'm talking about. So you go, okay, Piggly Wiggly, you better get those prices down or we're coming after you. All right, third. What's third?
Third, and this is something that we executed when I was at the U.S. Treasury Department in the first Trump administration, which is make the Trump tax cuts permanent.
Okay, we'll assume that's going to happen. He's got both houses of Congress. Yes. Okay, yes. 4.
He has to do that, though, Bill, in the first 100 days while he has maximum political capital and leverage with Congress.
Got to do it in the first month, not 100 days.
I hope so.
Yeah, the bill should be ready to go. You give it to Johnson and you give it to Thune or whoever's running the Senate. You go, I want it done. And boom, they'll vote for it like that. No 100 days, a month. You got a month.
I hope it's as seamless as that, Bill, from your lips to God's ears.
No
but
lips
that
and,
absolutely needs to be done.
I'll be out there with a sign in front of the White House if it is more than 30 days. What's 4?
Number 4, to me, and there are so many incredibly important appointments that the president has to make, but to me, the most important cabinet member is going to be the Attorney General. Because while we face all kinds of existential threats from the Chinese Communist Party to Iran with a nuclear weapon, to me, the most existential threat is the enemy within. It's the weaponization of government.
I agree.
So I want to see the Attorney General empowered to
Do you have any preference?
Deep state corruption.
Do you have any preference for AG? Because I don't know who he's going to appoint. Got anybody?
Well, I think that, and these are names that have been reported publicly, but Ken Paxton, who is the current AG of Texas, is
he's a really controversial guy, though. Very controversial guy. All right, you're looking for a hard guy. I don't know. I'm researching it now, but I don't know. Last one, real quick.
Okay, last one is election reform. I want to see that done in the first 100 days when he has max political capital. President has talked about a national ID photo requirement.
Okay.
That's going to get a lot of pushback from states like California and New York who don't have it, and in the courts because states do run elections according to the Constitution. But I do want to see the president drive a stake in the ground on election reform, because that and the wide open border are the two big existential threats.
I like it.
Weaponization of government.
It's going to be constitutional. They'll have to go to the Supreme Court, though. I think they should pass it. Let them litigate it. Let it go to the court. They got to close down Arizona. Arizona, you got to close it, okay, because they can't count their votes. I'm going to get into this. I'm very, I like Arizona, but come on. You got to do a better job. All right, Monica, thank you very much, as always. Very lively. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon, I hope.
Thank you, Bill. You bet.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.